Hey guys, what's up? It's Jonathan with One Big Impact. Good morning, and it is day 16 of the One Big Impact 30-day challenge. Today's video is actually going to be all about hidden carbs and sugar. Let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start by saying, letting you know in advance, this could be a lengthy video. I'm not going to do tons of editing all the way out throughout because it's going to take too long and I have to pump out these videos every day. So bear with me if there's like some downtime or whatever as we're recording, but I just want to let you know in advance this could be a lengthy video because I have 20 things that I want to talk about, and these are things that I've learned along the way, I've learned today, and I've learned in the past. And I think it's important that you know all of these things so those sneaky little carbs and sugar don't jump on you and carry on your low carbohydrate back. So let's take it easy. Let's take it easy. What the fuck are you talking about, John? Let's take it easy. That's the part I'm talking about. That's the weird part that probably will happen throughout this video. So the first thing is going to be spices. Somebody told me the other day about some spices and I was arguing with them and I was like, no, 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 no. So I went and did some further information and it turns out that person was right. So you were right, I was wrong. And I will be reading off my sheet because I have tons of stuff to go through. So the first thing, like I said, is going to be spices. A couple spices that you may not know that could have carbohydrate contents, and they are of course going to be debated in the description below. Go ahead and debate it. Also, if you know anything that has hidden carbs that I don't cover, please, or carbs or sugar, put it in the description below for anybody that comes later. They can know how to avoid those for themselves on their journey. I'm sure they will be greatly thankful for that. So garlic powder can have 7 grams of carbs. Now, here's the funny thing. Garlic powder has 7 grams of carbs per tablespoon, and it was like 0.9 of the, 0.9 was dietary fiber, so you're going to take that away, so it still comes out to like 6.1 or whatever. Now this is according to the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. Now, it's funny because when you go to the Atkins website and you look at theirs, I was like, I wonder what they're saying it is. Well, they're saying it's 1.6 per tablespoon. And I'm like, well, I think that's debatable. Personally, I think I'm going to go with the United States Department of Agriculture just because it's a government regulated agency. Atkins is kind of, and I'm not saying they're wrong or whatever, but what I'm saying is at the end of the day, garlic powder has a minimum, even on the bad side, of 1.6 grams of net carbs per tablespoon. So that's a huge number. And now if it's 7 on the other end, you definitely need to avoid that. The other thing is, you're going to see like things like, this is important to me. Like, I hear this a lot. People are like, well, I went and had pizza and I just had the toppings. Well, here's the important thing. Pizza you thought was okay ain't. Because if they got garlic powder, chances are they do. It's a very common thing in an Italian dish. And that adds up fast. You know, you may not think there's tons of garlic powder on something, but why do you think you keep coming back? Why do you think these things taste so amazing? Why do you think, you know, people are running into those places madly and spending all kinds of loads of money on pizza and stuff? Because of the sugars and all the stuff in there that can get you addicted. The thing is, I grabbed a couple of my spices out there and I looked, and I'm not gonna say any names, but I grabbed a couple and I looked at it and I was like, imagine that, right on there. And a lot of the times they're not listed, but this one is specifically listed. It says 2 grams of net carbs and sugars added, less than 1 gram. No big deal, right? Well, you add, how many spices do you add to each meal? It's not just one. You don't just say, okay, I need some salt, and that's it. Or I need some pepper, and that's it. You add 3 or 4 types of spices to be able to spice up your dish and make it look good. Well, after you do that, you can end up with 10 extra carbs in one single meal. So definitely keep that in mind, you guys. I personally, if you're at the beginning of this journey, or you're following a low carb regimen or keto, or you're trying to track your carbs, your net carbs, you're trying to be low carb, you're trying to do Atkins or whatever, do your best to just use salt and pepper. Usually, like garlic salt, 0. Salt, 0. Pepper, 0. So keep it very, very low every time and keep it minimalistic, meaning salt and pepper, you're usually good to go. I mean, it's not that big a deal. You don't have to have these huge amounts of spices every time you eat food. It's not a big deal. The next thing is eggs in a carton, those little those egg white cartons or whatever. I looked up the ingredients. Some of them have high fructose corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, which is actually worse than regular table sugar. And some of them have like a carb, which is more than 0.6. And all I have to say about that is just crack the freaking egg. Just crack an egg. It takes what, 5 seconds to crack an egg? It's not a big deal. Usually you're gonna save 5 times the amount of money by cracking your own freaking egg and not buying it in a damn milk carton. The next thing is sauces. I almost said sausage. Sauces. Sauces can be really high. Again, I won't show you the label, but this is a barbecue sauce and I was looking at it, 2 tablespoons. I don't know about you, but I used to load on barbecue sauce on chicken or whatever. It was way more than 2 tablespoons. 16 grams of carbs, 14 grams of sugar per 2 tablespoons. If you did 3 servings of that, which is obviously pretty easy, do the math. That is gonna shoot you way over your mark. Another one is, that's the only sauce I brought. And I have some other stuff I want to talk about. But I want to talk about Walden Farms for a minute. I'm not going to show you the bottle, and I don't want you to do this all the time because I think they are going to have some sucralose, obviously, and different things or whatever. But I want you to try to sub those regular sauces with some Walden Farms. And I'll put some descriptions below for like the barbecue sauce for Walden Farms and things like that in the description below to link them over to Amazon. You can pick them up for pretty affordable prices and they're actually pretty good. There are a couple that I was like, I'm not really feeling it, but it's okay. I mean, you can just go without that type of food or that type of sauce if you need to. Excuse me. The next thing is peanut butter. A lot of people say, well, peanut butter's low carb, peanut butter's this, peanut butter's this. Oh my gosh, stop eating peanut butter, especially if you're on an induction phase. Just leave it alone, cut it out. It's going to slow you down. First of all, it's 6 grams of carbs per serving. Who the hell's gonna eat a freaking serving of peanut butter? 2 tablespoons. Really? Nah, really? Really? You're not gonna eat only 2 tablespoons. Many times in the past, I've been like, yeah, I'm just gonna have a spoonful. I'm like, oh, I ate the whole damn jar. It's loaded with sugar, guys. We like peanut butter. I mean, what tastes sweeter, peanut butter or peanuts? Why are you not eating peanuts? You don't grab a jar of peanuts and eat those. You go for the peanut butter because it's sweet, it tastes delectable like a dessert and stuff like that. I will put in the description below a low carb version of peanut butter. It's like a powdered version. You just add water. It's called PB Fit. I'll put that in the description below. Try it out. It is lower carb. If you're an induction, stay away from it. If you're low carb, go for it. If you're keto, go for it. So definitely keep that in mind. But if you're an induction or like the first phase of Atkins and you're trying to limit your carbohydrate intake, I'd much rather that you, if you're following my meal plan, if you're following my meal plan, steer clear of peanut butter, at least in the beginning phases. The next thing is vitamins and supplements, and I'm definitely not going to try to tackle any of that, but I'm going to say that it is not government regulated. The FDA does not, the Federal Drug Administration does not regulate vitamins. If they're over the counter, they're not regulated. They're going to put loads of different things in the vitamins. I'm not saying stay away from all vitamins. I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm not saying they're all created equal. I actually have some sitting right here, but I'm not going to read them off. I actually printed something out that I could read to you guys, and it's because I was reading one of mine today, and I was like, well, I wonder, you know, if anything that I have actually has something that I'm not aware of. So I started looking up the ingredients and stuff like that, and I was like, well, shoot, I don't know what that is. So I looked it up, I Googled it, I did a little bit of research, and sure enough, listen to this. This is actually in a supplement that I usually take every night, and I never even thought twice about it. Maltodextrin, and I apologize in advance for not being able to pronounce all of this. Maltodextrin is a polysaccharide that is used as a food additive. It is produced from starch by partial hydrolysis. It is usually found as a white hygroscopic spray dried powder. Maltodextrin is easily digestible, being absorbed rapidly as glucose, sugar, and might be either moderately sweet or almost flavorless. Freaking ninja. It is commonly used for the production of soft drinks and candy. What? In my vitamin? What? It can also be found in an ingredient in a variety of processed foods. You guys, I'm not saying specifically that that could cause a problem, but imagine if you're eating 10 vitamins throughout a day, it could add up. If you're finding problems or whatever, am I saying to alter what your doctor says as far as what you're consuming and stuff like that? Absolutely not. I am never going to tell you. I am not a doctor. I'm just saying, if you're having problems losing weight and you're taking loads of vitamins or over-the-counter stuff, maybe take a step back and see, you know, kind of alter what you're doing, because that could be the culprit. So definitely keep in mind, I was actually pretty shocked. I will be changing what I'm using immediately. The next thing is most veggies below the ground. Now that's like potatoes, beets, carrots and stuff like that. I'm not saying everything, but even onions. Yes, onions are pretty high in carbs. If you were to eat a whole onion, it would blow your whole freaking low carbohydrate diet or meal plan or whatever out of the water. Am I saying all of them are bad? Am I saying they're bad at all? No. I'm saying if you're looking for low starch, low carbohydrate options, definitely go above ground. For most of everything, you can go above ground and you'll stay lower carbohydrate. It's kind of just a general rule of thumb. It's kind of like that thing I tell you to do. Shop around the outside of the stores if you want to get the healthier foods, because the milks, the breads, or the milks, all the whole foods are all around the outside. All the shit is in the middle, so definitely stay out of the middle of the store. I say, and this is number 7, I say keep it simple for a reason, because the simpler you keep things, and this is not a low carbohydrate item, but what I'm saying is if you go into a meal and you have 3 ingredients, including the spices, say you have pork chop, 1 ounce of cheese, and some salt and pepper. It's going to be a lot easier to track what's going wrong or what's going right with your meals if your meals are simple. If you're putting, you know, 5 different sauces, 15 different spices on every single meal, it's going to be next to impossible to see what's going wrong. So definitely keep it simple, guys. Number 8 is yogurt can be insanely, and now if you're in induction or following one of my 20-gram meal plans, you definitely won't be eating yogurt anyway, but a lot of people are like, what yogurt's the best or whatever. Obviously, plain yogurt's going to be the safest option, just because you don't need loads of fruit and stuff like that. We are all worried about what tastes great and everything. Hey, what tastes great is usually a bad idea, you know, because if you're picking up yogurt but you're putting, you know, 6 ounces of nuts and 5 ounces of chocolate and 4 ounces of fruit, you're not eating yogurt anymore. You're just eating candy, cream, crap. So definitely keep that in mind. It can be insanely high as soon as you add just 1 ingredient. So if you're looking for the best option on yogurt, it's almost always just plain yogurt. And I know it's not that great. There's things you can do to it. There's tons and loads of recipes online that you can find. The next thing is tomato sauce is not a tomato. A lot of people don't realize that. It can be, obviously it has tomatoes in it, but it has tons of stuff added to it usually. So I have a little can of tomato sauce here, and the carbohydrates per 2 tablespoons. Now if this is a tomato, if this was a tomato, it would not be this high. 2 tablespoons of of this tomato sauce is 6 grams of carbohydrates and 3 grams of sugar. It would not be that high. This whole thing would only be like 3 carbohydrates, and that's going to be, so if you did 6 times 5 servings per thing, this little can's gonna have 30 to 40 servings, or 30 to 40 carbs plus 9 grams of sugar. So definitely keep that in mind. Tomato sauce is not the same as eating an actual tomato. If you wanted to make tomato sauce, maybe you should make it fresh for yourself so you know what's in it. That's also important when you're ordering those pizzas and stuff like that at a place you think you know what they're making. This is probably what they're using. You're gonna say, well, I don't know why I jumped out of ketosis. I'm not really sure what happened. That's what happened, you guys. Definitely keep that in mind. If you're not going back there bugging them, because I hit people up, I'm like, can I see the cans that you're using? Can I see the bags of stuff that you're using? Do you have an ingredients list? Because usually by law in America, they're supposed to be able to provide all material sheets for you, ingredient sheets for you, because of allergies and all things like that. So definitely keep that in mind. Okay, so all salad dressings are not created equal. That is number 10. Hit the halfway mark. Oh. All salad dressings are not created equal. You're probably thinking, well, John, you say, you know, you want me to get those healthy fats and stuff like that. I do. A lot of the times that's why I recommend what I recommend. Walden Farms, again, is a pretty safe option, but the only thing is they don't have the fat content and the calories and all that I actually need you to consume. I will put those in the description below. You can kind of add a fat in other times and stuff like that, but it gets kind of tricky. If you're a seasoned veteran at this, maybe that's a pretty good option for you. But if you're new to this, I would stick to like ranches, things like that, because I will say right now, like if you go from a ranch, which is 2 grams of net carbs, if you're buying the right stuff, always, just because it's Thousand Island dressing does not mean that they're created equal from brand to brand. If they came out with a new option, like Brenda and I discussed before, if they say new and improved, it means there's probably new and more crap that involved that you need to be reading the back of that thing. So because there could be more higher carbs. Definitely keep that in mind. You have to remember that just because something looks the same does not mean it's the same. So I've seen carbohydrate contents on dressing as high as 20 grams per serving. So please always read the label. Usually those fancier, more expensive ones happen to be the higher carb. Yes, they probably taste more delectable, but it comes at a huge cost. If you're not following a low carbohydrate content diet plan or meal plan or lifestyle, then go for it. But if you're following this type of lifestyle, that's probably why you're here, or you need to limit your sugars because of diabetes or whatever, steer clear of those. Always read the back of the label just to be safe. The next thing is protein bars. Okay, so if you're going to work out, do not go eat a damn protein bar. I'd rather you go eat 2 freaking eggs right now if you're actually wanting, because the protein's gonna be just as, if you want something good, eat a pure protein isolate after your workout, or maybe half before, half after. If you're trying to limit your carbs and sugar, don't do it. Just don't worry about it, because you're getting enough protein in your daily life. If you're doing low carbohydrate or you're following that type of meal plan, if you're a bodybuilder, you probably already know your macros, you probably already know all that. But it's important that you don't go eat a protein bar, because not only is it loaded with carbohydrates and sugar, because that's what makes you feel pumped when you're working out, that they are actually, you're going to go work out and you're going to be working off that protein bar, those carbs and sugar, the entire time, and you're never even going to build any muscle. So it's pointless. Avoid those, especially before a workout, because you're never actually going to be burning fat. You're going to be burning that stupid freaking bar that you just ate the whole entire time. You're going to feel good, obviously, because you worked out for an hour or 2 or whatever, and then when you leave the gym, but I promise you, you did nothing but work off that damn bar the entire time. So don't do it. Steer clear of those. Number 12 is, and we're circling back to eggs again. Eggs are only 0.6 net carbs per egg, per medium egg, large egg, whatever it is. But the thing that you need to realize is people are like, well, you know, I can eat loads of meat, I can eat loads of eggs, I can eat, because they're so high in, or so low in carbohydrates. Okay, do the math real quick. 0.6 times 5 equals 3. So So if you eat 5 eggs, that's 3 eggs added, or 3 grams of net carbs added onto your day. Yeah, it's not huge, but if you're trying to stay between 18 and 22, you just popped out. You just popped out because you ate a couple extra eggs. Portions matter. You have to make sure you're actually keeping track of these. 0.6 is low. I understand that. Cheese is low, but cheese is loaded with calories. Cheese adds up. If it's 0.6 times a whole freaking bar of cheese, there's 10 extra carbs. You guys have to keep track of that because it's not a game. It actually does add up. Even if things are minuscule, they add up after they become larger amounts. The next thing, number 13, is instant coffee. Instant coffee, it might not be your brand, it might not be a brand in your area, but region to region, it can be 0.8 grams of net carbohydrates per serving. And if you are an instant coffee addict or decaffeinated coffee instant addict, it can add up. 0.8 times 5 cups a day can be huge difference. Definitely keep that in mind if you're one of those people that likes outdoors and you take your decaf coffee or your regular instant coffee outdoors and you're just drinking it. Yes, it would probably counterbalance if you're doing loads of exercise every day, but definitely keep that in mind if you're out in the wilderness and you're like, why am I not going into ketosis? I'm eating my meal plan or whatever. It's probably because you're drinking a whole freaking jar of instant coffee every day. So definitely keep that in mind. The next thing is coffee creamer. I hear this every day. People are like, well, I'm drinking sugar-free creamer. It should be perfectly fine. Wrong. It's not always perfectly fine. It usually has about 2 tablespoons of carbohydrates, or 2 grams of net carbohydrates per 2 tablespoons. And I'll be honest, I used to just go, okay, it looks good, it's all white, let's stir it up and we're good to go. That's probably an extra 10 or 15 carbs. So definitely keep that in mind. That is not all created equal. And even with my recommendations, heavy whipping cream, you have to be careful because it's per tablespoon. It's gonna be a carb. It's gonna be a carb, 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 carb. It adds up. There could be sugar in there. You guys definitely need to remember that portions matter. The next thing is, number 15 is it number 15? Miracle Whip. And I'm not saying that to blast the company or whatever, but I'm saying, it says right here, 2 grams of net carbohydrates per tablespoon. If you're not, first of all, if you're using, I recommend you use mayo because it's like a full fat product. It's not as processed. It's definitely going to be the better option if you're on a low carbohydrate diet. I know, I grew up on Miracle Whip. I love this stuff. I do not enjoy the taste of mayo, but I will say you get used to it. It's not a big deal. It's just what it is. We go for these things usually because they're sweet, they have added sugar and everything like that, so definitely keep that in mind. Steer clear of this version. I don't want to keep saying their name because I don't want my video to get pulled. Because I have nothing against the company, I love the stuff. But the thing is, you have to make sure that what you're consuming is being accounted for. The next thing is restaurant sauces that can be made in house can be a crapshoot. Just like I said before with the tomato sauce or whatever, you have to remember that, yes, I understand you want to go out and you want to go to the restaurant or whatever, but you have to realize, what you have to realize is if they're making an in-house sauce, you might think it's barbecue sauce, you might think it's tomato sauce, but it does not mean that it's the tomato sauce that you would pick out at the store that has a low carbohydrate or low sugar content. Chances are it's a big corporation. They need to get this stuff as cheap and as large bulk as possible. They're not worried or concerned about what your dietary restrictions are. So you definitely have to keep that in mind. You can usually go to their website. If they don't give you the information, go to another place. It's not a big deal. But you have to remember that they are not in business to follow your dietary restrictions. You have to be in business to follow your dietary restrictions for yourself. Number 17 is going to be low carb foods. A lot of the times you're going to see that more now. This is a trend that is kicking on, and you're going to start seeing, you started seeing gluten-free, sugar-free, now you're going to start seeing low carb, and it's just a spin that everybody going to be, in the 80s you got low fat, everybody got scared of fat. Now they're going to be, you're starting to see the paleo meals, low carb meals and stuff like that. Beware, just because something says, it says low carb foods does not mean it's within your range of carbohydrates. I'm guilty of this. This is a confession. last year I used to love going to Venetia's. It was a low carbohydrate, it was called a low carb protein bowl, okay? It never really hugely affected me, but it popped me out of ketosis and I never really knew why. Well, it's loaded with cheese, pizza sauce, meat, and veggies. And there's no bread or nothing. It's basically like pizza minus the bread. Well, here's the thing. They called it and I kept asking, hey, what's in this? What's in this? What's in this? And I actually hit up corporate. I'm like, how many carbs are in this? Because obviously there's different variations. You could do it with pesto sauce, you could do it with pizza sauce, no sauce, you could do it this way, you can add all kinds of things or whatever. So I always asked, and I literally sent them like 5 emails. I'm like, you gotta get back to me. I'm really following the dietary restrictions. I need to know what's in this product. I said, you know what, forget it. They're never gonna tell me. I just stopped eating there and I popped back into ketosis. I had no problems after that. Well, about a year later, I actually looked on their website and sure enough, now they got the information. So I looked at it and in a specific one of those, it was like 45 grams of net carbohydrates. And it was like mind blow. Of course it was causing problems. Could that be okay for somebody that's following a ketogenic thing? A ketogenic way of life instead of like an Atkins induction? It could, yes. But not only is it more than what you should be consuming, but it's definitely a very high carbohydrate, very high sugar meal, and you would definitely want to steer clear of that for sure. So any foods that say low carb does not mean it has the carb restrictions that you're looking for. The next thing is number 18 is hot dogs are not okay. I'm just throwing it out there. I get this question daily. Can I eat hot dogs? They're cheap. No hot dogs. It's a processed food. It's crap. Just throw them in the garbage. Give them to a friend. I mean, give them to an enemy. No, just kidding. The next thing is cheap processed foods and meat that has been altered. A lot of the times I tell you guys to stop at the deli. If you're having a craving or whatever, or you're hungry, or you're not able to make it to your next meal in time, I tell you to go get some deli meat and deli cheese, a couple ounces of each, no big deal. You need to be careful. You need to be careful because a lot of the times that meat is like processed, it's squished together or whatever, and they just slice it out or whatever. You need to make sure they're not added sugars, added carbohydrates. A lot of the times they are. I would say about 7 out of 10 have carbs and sugar in there. And they will be more than willing to let you look at the package. And I ask all the time. Personally, I find one, I go for the buffalo chicken breast because it has no carbohydrates. So I have them flip it over, I look at the carbohydrate contents, and once you find one, you kind of just stick with it and periodically check it again to make sure that they haven't had new and improved recipes so that you're okay. But definitely keep in mind, just because it's a meat product does not mean that it's created equal. You'll find some of the cheapest hamburgers out there have like 4 and 5 carbs, and it will usually say, hamburger product or something. They word it differently, so you definitely have to have your like x-ray vision glasses on so that you don't get tricked into buying stuff that is not going to be what you're wanting. The next one is number 20 is, and I hear this a lot, and I'm not trying to say it, I have one honorable mention at the end. I'm not trying to say it in a bad way, but I'm saying shellfish is a very real question that I get all the time. Shrimp, clams, oysters, squid, lobster, mussels, all of those have carbohydrate contents and you cannot eat them uncontrollably. It is not. And obviously you don't want to eat steak or ground beef or chicken uncontrollably either, because calories add up, portions add up, and things like that. But those specifically, shellfish, not all of them, but most shellfish have a significantly higher carbohydrate content than a steak would or a chicken breast would. So definitely keep that in mind. You have to look it up. Usually a quick Google search can help you figure that out. The next thing is, and the final thing, just the final thought is, if you're not sure, don't eat it, damn it. Just don't eat it. Don't touch it. Don't even look at it. If you go into a restaurant and you're like, I'm not sure if this is a good idea, then don't freaking do it. because chances are, if you're questioning it or you don't know, then it's probably not okay, and you need to do more research before you consume this product. So that being said, that's the end of our video, but I have one thing to talk about. A lot of people ask this all the time. Beef bouillon or chicken bouillon cubes, because when you're going through like the keto flu or whatever, or you're feeling down on energy, low on energy, I always say to consume some chicken broth and stuff like that. But I did look at chicken broth cubes and beef bouillon cubes, and they actually have, believe it or not, a gram of carbs. Now, I'm not saying that's huge, but you add, you know, and I just dropped spices all over my ground, that's great. But if you add, you know, the random spices, the beef bouillon cube, the tomato paste, just, you know what I mean, like, maybe individually these things aren't as big of a deal, but if you add 3 or 4 of them throughout the day and you're wondering why everything's not going right, that can be a huge issue. So definitely keep that in mind. You guys, it's day 16 of the One Big Impact 30-day challenge. I expect everybody to be doing amazing, seriously, and you are. I want you guys to remember that you need to spread love, not hate, and hashtag be stronger than your excuses. Have an amazing week. We're like day 2 of week 2 or something like that. So definitely, let's rock it. If you're new here, please check out our Facebook group called Healthy Living for a Healthy Life. If you're selling anything, don't even bother, because we're not gonna let you in. We're like ninjas, like we are very selective about who we let in. If you have a positive mindset and you just want to learn more about this and you want to inspire others through your journey, as well as be inspired through your journey, please feel free to come and check us out. If you're new here, also please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and have a great day, guys. Peace. Hey guys, what's up? It's Jonathan with One Big Impact. So good morning, and today's video is obviously going to be, what the fuck?